Hello and welcome to a very brief guide to how to play Europa Universalis 4. I'm currently streaming this on Twitch TV, and if anyone in the Twitch chat wants to contribute and suggest any questions as I'm playing through the game of how to play the game itself, feel free to perk up. The first question is, what nation do you select at the start of the game? Well, there's two things you can do. You can select a start date, and you can select a nation to play as. Most people want to start in 1444, which is the very start of the actual scenario itself, which is kind of like almost the start of the Renaissance. Well, actually, no, the Renaissance starts just after that. But for the most part, that's the beginning of the game. And you can select one of the nations that exist in 1444. And in this case, we are going to play as the Ottomans. The Ottomans is a really good starter nation, has very high development, very strong military, very great ideas, great expansion opportunities east or either west and south. Has recently been nerfed, and the Mamluks are now really scary. But I still, for the most part, think you're going to be okay as the Ottomans. You can also play as France as a starter nation as well, and they're quite strong too. A little bit more heavy on the war though, because you've got to fight a great war against England, and you're wedged between some really strong powers too, the HRE, which have their own mechanics which are quite complex for noobs, and Castile, which is quite strong too. So I don't know, I would say they're in a position that's a little bit weaker than the Ottomans. So let's go for the Ottomans. It gives you an idea on the right side here what kind of country you're selecting. It says the amount of states the country has, so the overall size of the nation. You can see some are small and larger. Development is the economic power plus the overall manpower, so a higher number means more of an economic powerhouse for that nation. For instance, Timurids are very high too. Mamluks is high. France, England, Ottomans, you get the idea. 11 indicates the forts. The fort level doesn't really help you out though. Some nations tend to be very big with very few forts. Lithuania is an example. Has only 9, but has a very large nation, for instance. Muscovy is very similar to 7. That's your leader. That's the nation. That's the technology group, which doesn't really apply that much anymore. It used to be an old thing in one of the old games. And this is the government rank, which is something we'll talk about later. These are the ideas, and this is like your ambition and the destiny of the Ottomans. Oh, this is also some diplomacy. It shows you've got some truces with a bunch of nations, which is simply because you think you can't go to war with a nation that has a truce. There's exceptions to that rule, though. And we've also got a guarantee on Ragusa, which is another nation that's here. Anyway, we're going to start off as the Ottomans and go from here. You learn the most, probably, from the start screen. The start screen is where you do all your essential stuff, which are these tabs at the top, to know where to go from as you proceed in the game. I am playing with all the DLCs, so you can see them all listed at the bottom here, with the latest one of Cradle Civilization, which recently got released. I don't know when you're watching this video, but this is the latest DLCs, so this is all of them. So there's nothing missing out of the game. If you are playing the game with some DLCs missing, there'll be buttons disappeared, there'll be different dialogue options, and things will be a little bit confusing in all fairness, because if you're missing a part of the game that you don't already have, I don't know, it's going to be really confusing when you don't have that element, and it springs up in your face and you're like, how come he's got the button and I have not? I did buy all the DLCs about a year ago, and I missed one of them. I can't remember what it was. I think it was the Cossacks or Common Sense. It was one in the middle, and it's kind of strange to me like how I didn't have some of the buttons that were available to me. Anyway, this is a brief outline of your nation. This tells you about the religion and the buffs it gets. This is the government type and the special attributes of this government, and the environment just tells you about how this area of the world affects your ability to whatever. It just shows you like Europe, for instance, and the HRE. I'm giving a very brief overview here, but it makes more sense if we just look at the game itself. So, there's the two elements. You've got the army. In this case, there's the 13,000 troops here, 15,000 troops here, and you've got 23,000 navy. This button merges the navy up. There's 2 navies here. There's 12 cogs, which are transport ships, and then you've got the navy, which are 8 galleys, which are your combat ship that has... it's a combat ship that works better in shallower waters other than oceans. And gives you a bit of a combat bonus, but it is a combat ship. Merge those fleets up here, and you can see this is the whole fleet. Select the navy, you can move it to different regions, and you can select a province that has a port, and it goes to that port, or you can right-click on the port that it's currently set at. Pretty much it, really. You got the army, right-click on where you want them to go, and they'll move to that position. If you hover over them, it gives you an idea how long they're going to arrive to. We'll arrive in Sofia. On the 21st of November, 1444. You can see the date in the top right here. That's pretty much it. And you can see the composition: 3 cavalry, 10 infantry, 5 cavalry. The combat mechanics are they're a little bit of a stage higher than we want to go right now, but just like, you know, you need more infantry to cavalry, and you will unlock artillery as the game goes on, which also has different aspects as well. So we'll go through the buttons at the top of the screen. So at the start of the game, you have the ability to convert some states to your religion. Your religion here, which is on this. So you click on this. This is your country view, and this tab is religion. And then we are currently Sunni, which gives some buffs and some debuffs. And it also has a school of Islam. That's a new update. We don't want to worry about that because it's quite in depth. It's more than you need to know, really. And here you can go here. So if these are the provinces in. So Vidin, which I think is here, is the next one to be converted, and it will take 111 months to convert it based on those modifiers you can see here. And it will change the unity of the nation. A nation that's has more unity, suffers from less unrest, and has better stability and less corruption. And we can convert that now by going on it and converting it. It will slowly convert over time, or you can convert through this page here. It's basically telling you that there's a free missionary that you've got at your disposal that can convert, and you can use it straight away. Let's do that straight away. And you can see a missionary is working. It says it will be completed on the 29th of December, 1453. And this province will go from Orthodox to Sunni Islam. You can go on the ledger here. This shows you like a breakdown of one thing I think that's different to Hearts of Iron 4 to EU4 is you have a lot more ledger options. For instance, you have a lot more ways of looking at the map in different ways. So one of them is called religion. So you can see all the religions of the world here. Catholic, Orthodox, Sunni, Shia, Coptic, Orthodox. And as you can see, this province here is a orange-brown colour, meaning it's Orthodox. And the checkered lines indicate that it's not my state religion. My state religion is Muslim. It's Sunni Muslim. So in this case, this is a state religion and I own it. So in this case, we're going to convert it, and that will go from brown to green when it's fully converted, and it will be my state religion. What are the best DLCs to start off with? I honestly can't answer that question, to be honest with you. My best bet is play on vanilla, but buy the base game, and then learn the base game and work up from there. That's my advice. So my advice is don't specifically try and go for one kind of DLC. I think you can Google it and look for an option for the best DLC, but in all fairness, just buy the base game, learn the base game, and then add DLCs on as you go. I mean, that's how I learned the game. I started up with vanilla when the game first came out, and as time went on, I added more DLCs and went on. So there was never a moment where I played the game with all the DLCs in one go, and that's a little bit overwhelming, so it kind of gives you an idea. But anyway, there you go, shows you the religion. So if it indicates as checkered lines, that means that religion in that state is not the state religion of that nation. So for instance, in this case, the nation of Lithuania is Catholic, but this state is Orthodox. That's why it's got checkered lines. Just indicates what that means. If you don't have the same, I mean, you don't really need to know why, but if you've not got the state religion, you suffer from lots of penalties as such. It is better to have your own religion, and it also has a modifier, what I just mentioned just then, of religious unity, which can affect quite a lot of other stats. Yeah, that's cool. One of the map modes that is quite useful too is called Diplomatic mode. I'm going through the ledger and clicking them. These are ones that I've assigned that I use quite often, but we're not going to go through those because it might be easy just to go through the ones here. Diplomatic is here you go. So it shows basically your home nation and relationships with nations around them around the world. So Ragusa is a nation here that we have a guarantee on. If you know what guarantee means, it basically means if someone else attacks this nation, you have the ability to declare war on the nation that declared war on him. So therefore you can come to the aid of that nation and defend it. All these nations are cores, which basically means that our home territory, that we fully own them. This one has a claim on it, has a core on it. It's basically land that we owned at some point in the game, and we lost it, which was before 1444, which is before the actual game began. So in this case, this state is owned by Albania, and if you look here, it says that we have a core on it, which basically means we have control. We basically class this as our home territory, even though Albania owned this state. So we can have the ability to declare war on this state and take it from them because we are rightful owners of it. Well, we feel like we're legal owners of it, which we probably will do at some point, which we'll show some combat. Missions is like almost like a little mini game within the game itself, where to kind of give you a role in the game and keep things moving, it gives you like little missions to complete, and these missions are like improve relations with this nation, which will result in getting diplomatic reputation. City of the World's Desire, which means control Constantinople, which gives you some legitimacy, and improve our prestige, which gives you 100 administrative power. I'm not going to talk too much about any of those at the moment because I think it's not relevant, but the easiest one to complete is this one. Improve relations with Dulkakur. which if you look really closely, you can actually press F and actually find this nation. It's here. So this is the state, and this is the actual nation itself, the sovereign nation, and it's this nation here. So there's an option to build relations with this nation, which we will do. I can right-click on it, and brings up the diplomatic ledger. If these are closed, you can just open them by clicking on them and improve relations with this nation. So it says to complete this mission objective, which is in here, missions, objectives, gain 100 relations with DKKK. And we currently have relations at 38. That's our relations to them. That's their relations to us. So they currently think we're 37, and we currently think they're 38. They just understand that. There's a lot of buttons going on. It's quite confusing at first, but there you go. Here we go. So we got a few event decisions here. This is options. So options for event decisions. And in this case, we have the ability to improve our manpower by 10%. Whenever you take casualties in war, you lose manpower. It's this number here. And this gives us basically a threshold, increasing our current maximum manpower by an extra 10% until 1821, which is the very last date at the end of the game. So this will take effect forever, never end. In all brutal honesty, that is a really good one, so I don't know why you'd avoid it. Adopt the title of Krafafa. If you want to know what that historically that means, I don't care. But it increases your prestige by 0.5 until your king dies. So it increases your prestige, which I'll talk about that later. Denouncement of the sect practices, which gives -1 unrest for the life of your current monarch, and moves towards legalism. Legalism is a special mechanic of Muslims, which is called piety. More legalism moves that way, more mysticism moves that way, and they offer benefits and penalties. I'm going to go for both of those bottom ones because they're both good. We'll hold off on that one for the time being because it costs 100 monarch points, and I don't want to spend those yet. We can untick this too, and this removes it from the ledger to not remind us. We're also sitting on some money, so it gives you the option to build things. The only things we can build are forts, which are like defensive buildings, which hold back the enemy's hordes. We don't really want to do that. So we can right-click to disable that, but I want to keep it there for the time being. It's letting us know that some truces are about to end. So there was a war that happened before 1444, where the Ottomans were fighting the Balkan nations, all of these ones here. And it's let me know that the truce ends after 1450, so in that case. Advisors allow you to gain extra stat boosts, as well as gain extra monarch points per month. And you can see them, one for military, one for diplomatic, and one for administrative. It's letting us know that there is a free chair empty that we could assign to, and we can gain some more points. In this case, we are going to hire a guy that gains extra. Oh, there's not a guy here that we want. I'm not going to talk about playstyles for the time being. I'm just going to talk about yeah, I'm not going to talk directly about playstyles. I'm just going to talk about what the buttons do and how they respond and whatnot. Keep it nice and silky simple. That's fine. So, political unrest. So, Vidin is suffering from 1.4 unrest. It's letting us know there's some unrest. There is a map mode for unrest. It's here. That's this one. See, it's a little bit darker color. You can see unrest is 1.4. Over time, if unrest gets bigger and bigger and bigger, it results in a rebellion happening, which an army appears, and they can cause damage to your country, as well as throw unrest around your nation. They're called Ottoman peculiarists in this case. And when they get to 100%, they will rebel. It gives you a notification when they're about to rebel, and then you can do something about it. We'll talk more about that later anyway. And also, we've got too few rivals. At the start of the game, I hate this mechanic. I think it's rubbish, and I think it's out of date. I wish they'd remove it, but it's my honest opinion. I think it's for the AI. It's not for the player. But you can set rivalries, and that gives you extra buffs for fighting those nations. It lets the major powers fight the major powers and avoids bullying little minors. It doesn't really work out that way, though, because you end up bullying the minors anyway. Regardless, we're going to set Venice as a rival. We're going to set the Papal States as a rival. And we're going to set the Quara Kununulu as a rival too. If any of these nations you don't know where they are, but this is the political map mode. This is the map from the start of the game. So you can political map mode this one. I know the hotkeys, so I just go for them straight away. You can press F for find, and you can go Quara. Oh, Quara. There you go. And that's the nation there. And it's this big one here. There is a bit of a strategy in game that you do pick particularly weaker nations to rival, because you gain power projection for having rivals and fighting other people and whatnot. So that's just something to know about. Okay, I think we're ready to play the game now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unpause, which is spacebar. And you can use plus and minus to increase the time going by. So you go. So instead of like Hearts of Iron 4, that every tick is like an hour of game time, every tick is a day. So time goes a lot faster in this game. There we go. So we get pop-ups every now and then. It's basically telling us that because we've rivaled Kuala Lumpur, I can never pronounce that country's name, so I'm not going to bother. We can humiliate rival, which is a casus belli, which basically means a reason to go to war with this nation. We can't do that until the 11th of December, though. So we're going to wait until the 11th of December. There you go, 11th of December has arrived. Now we can declare war on this nation, and the reason we want to declare war is to humiliate the rival, which is ability to have a casus belli against all rivals, which gives you some abilities to, I don't know. Humiliate the rival is something you don't really do that very often. It's a really weak casus belli, because it's a casus belli that doesn't let you take land. All you need to know is its ability to declare war for free without suffering a stability hit. Otherwise, you can use no casus belli, but you suffer from -2 stability hit. Stability is this one. Low stability causes all kinds of havoc in your nation, and you want to avoid it at all costs. That's all you really need to know. Quara Yupu. Are you trolling me? Is that actually how it's pronounced? I wouldn't worry too much about DLCs going on sale, because they always go on sale. If you miss this sale, you'll get another one in 3 months. So please don't feel like you're emotionally tied to a DLC and you need to buy it immediately. We don't want to talk about mods, though. We're going to try and keep it super simple. Okay, we've got a request here for an alliance from Ragusa. So Ragusa is this little small nation here that we have a guarantee over. If you click on them, you can see we've got +5 relations. They really like us. And to kind of, I guess, try and keep our relations nice and high, we can get an alliance with them. But it's an alliance for defensive purposes. Think about it. This alliance will only benefit them, not us. Other than if we were trying to, like, state a claim in this area. So I'm going to say, click on this and click decline. I don't want an alliance with you. We've already got a guarantee on you. So there's no point going any further than that. It might be a good idea to, as well, to try and find another a nation to get an alliance with. You'll have to play the game for a little while to understand who are the good people and the bad people. I think we can get an alliance with Austria, though. So click on Austria, or you can right-click on them, and you see everything. It says offer alliance, which is basically a military alliance, attacking and defending to protect each other. Which is always a good idea to get alliances. You want friends, right? It won't let us ally with them. It says a historical rival and opinion of Ottoman. So that means that this is impossible to get an alliance because you need to have more positive than negative. And we've got +14 and -3030. So that ain't happening anytime soon, put it that way. If you click on a few of these nations as well, it has like a sword next to them. It means they're rivaling us. When they're rivaling us, it means they just won't have an alliance. They're basically stating that, nope, we don't like you. No. We're going to have an alliance with Quara. This is a decent alliance because it creates a buffer to our east. And we can, at some point, maybe help them and whatever. Poland would have been a good alliance too, but they don't like us. There is a rival map mode. And it will show you who are rivaling you. So the ones that are in red are the ones that I've chose to rival, and the ones in yellow are rivaling us. So if they're rivaling you, it basically means there's no chance they're getting an alliance. There's also another ledger for this as well. This is going quite in depth. I don't know why I'm going this far, but if you click on this icon here, click on diplomacy, and if you go to influence, you can actually, no, it's actually alliance options. You can click on offer alliance and find people who are willing to ally you. They're all grayed out at the moment because I've just offered an alliance within the short period of time. But as you can probably see, a lot of these nations are actually quite small and weak. You want to pick an alliance with some major powers because remember, you want to gain from this alliance as well. It's not going to be an alliance of you defending some other little nation. You also want to gain from the alliance and declare war as well. Tunis really wants to get an alliance too. They really like us. That heart means they're in love with us. And we're going to wait a day and then get an alliance with Tunis as well. Tunis is pretty good. They're in a really good position. And they're relatively strong as well for their position too. They're quite annoying too. They raid coastlines, which is really freaking annoying. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to declare war on this Albanian nation. They're currently allied with Hungary and Bohemia, which is an absolute pain in the ass because those two nations are insanely strong. So probably, now think about that, probably isn't going to be a good place to attack to begin with. I think what we're probably going to go for is this guy. This one, Kanda. So we'll wait a few days because they got the diplomats here. We've used 2 of our diplomats to get alliances. It says alliance has been accepted. And our diplomats are coming back. You only get 3 diplomats at the start of the game. You do get lots of things to get extra diplomats. But once you've got a diplomat that's en route, you can't use him. So in this case, we have a nation here. And we can declare war on this nation and we can annex them. We need to display the combat mechanics in the game to get an idea. of what's actually going on. Otherwise, it's going to be really utterly confusing. Move our armies here. As you can see, there's a little bit of a straight here. You can see the straight by this icon here. It tells you there's like a straight moving between two little arrows here. There's also a straight here, so you can move between here and here as well. So someone asked me why not Byzantium first. Yeah, I could do that. Siena has joined the Trade League. We're not going to talk about Trade League. That's too complex. We're going to keep things nice and silky simple to make things nice and easy to understand. We're not going to go into any more complex mechanics of the game. So we are going to declare war on this guy, and we are going to go for a no Casus Belli war. Not recommended. Not recommended. You never really want to do this. Tells you they are allied with Dukur, which is this white nation, and we will suffer from -2 stability. We'll take the stability hit now, and I'll show you what happens. We also gain some war exhaustion, because you're not really meant to do... You're not meant to do no Casus Belli wars, and it also creates aggressive expansion, which is another mechanic that I'm going to actually need to explain as well, because I understand that you guys probably don't know what that is either. So let's take care of our stability for the time being, okay? So stability is represented by this icon. It's low, and it says -2. Stability goes from a smallest amount of -3 and the highest amount of +3. 0 is balance. So as you can see here, the effects of -2 stability are global trade reduction, foreign spy detection -10%, negative stability, I don't know why it says negative stability, +4 unrest, +2 interest, yearly legitimacy -2, and caravan power -10%. I ain't going to explain all those mechanics, guys, but just understand that that unrest +4 is probably the worst of the worst, and that will cause a nightmare within your nation, because you'll cause lots of rebels. As you can probably see here, loads of rebels now are causing... are unhappy, and they're slowly but truly causing unrest throughout the nation. Anyway, we're going to select this army. We're going to click on the leader, and we have the ability to assign a leader. The main stats you need to be worried about are fire and shock. There are 2 phases of combat that happen whenever you engage with an enemy army, and if each phase has a bonus, it means you do extra damage within that phase. Don't worry about maneuver and siege, we'll worry about those later. But this guy is actually a really good rounded guy. He's 3-3, which means he is very decent. I'm going to select him now. 10 army. 10 infantry and 5 cavalry. He is very well balanced. Press space to unpause, and then we're going to go. So our mission was a failure to get an alliance with them, because they've decided to declare war on us. Gone into diplomatic mode, which is this one, to see who we're at war with. And you can see I got a war with these 2 guys. Right, so now I'm going to engage this army and fight him. I'm going to try my absolute best to engage their army and fight them and beat them up. Got 2 royal marriages from Quara and Tunis, which I'm going to accept both. They give extra legitimacy, improve relations, and chance of a new heir. Royal marriages is a way to build alliances and bridge gaps in the medieval world, and it also gives a chance of a new ruler, a new heir. That's not the way the Ottomans work, though. They have their own special, unique government type, so they don't need to worry about getting heirs to the throne. But we'll talk about that later anyway. Anyway, these 2 armies are going to try and meet up now. They want to consolidate into one big army, so they want to have an ability to beat up my army. The AI is quite smart in this game. Anyway, so where are we going to go? We're going to try and meet up with this army and engage them, and we're going to fight them and beat them up. You can click on the armies and see exactly where they're going and try and chase them, and they're running away from us because they don't think they can win. If you hover over the army, you can see what they're composed of. Kandar has 5,000 infantry and 1,000 cavalry. Dunkadur has 6,000 and 1,000 horse. They have 2 generals, which only one will take into effect, which in this case will be the leader with the best stats, which is the 3-2 of Kandar. So that means I've got a slight shock advantage of +1 shock versus this army. And plus we've got better numbers as well. Okay, so we're about to engage this army now. The clashing swords means that the armies will engage, and then it says at -1 dice roll for this area because it's woods. Every area in the game has a terrain type, which you can go into here, and it says woods as a -1 dole. So it basically means if you are holding out in this area, you will get a defensive bonus, which is this a lot of case. And we're going to resume the battle, press space, and there we go. The armies have engaged. Hey, Battle of Kanik. There you go. So it's we have got a slight numbers advantage over them. There's a few stats here to worry about. One of them is morale. The Ottomans do get like a bonus to their morale. It's based on their nation type, and so in that case they do have an advantage. What happens now is it goes through 2 phases. A fire phase here, and then there's shock phase. It just rotates back and forth. Depending on how advanced your technology is, depends on how much damage you do in each phase, and depending on what leader you use and what infantry type you're using, depends on how much damage you will deal. But you can see here, as each day ticks on, we'll drop the speed down really low, and you can see like numbers shoot up, and those numbers indicate casualties. The health bar, treat it like an RPG. The health bar indicates like how much damage you're dealing and how long this army has got left until it'll break away. As you can probably see, it doesn't seem to make a great lot of difference that I have a lot of advantage, but the truth is we will win this battle just by the slight advantages that we do have. We'll talk about those advantages later. I feel like this is a bit too complex for the time being. We'll keep it nice, super, silky, simple for the time being. And there you go. We won this battle. Congratulations, you've won! Hey, you gain lots of stats for that, buffs and stuff. He gains lots of army tradition. Wow, a lot of army tradition. Wow, that's a change. I didn't realize that was the case. Okay. You can see the losses of infantry and cavalry. You can see they took more losses overall. We did win the battle. Got to understand, guys, sometimes you will actually lose battles, but the enemy will sustain more casualties. So what tends to happen there is kind of like a Pyrrhic victory. So in that case, you can engage them over and over and over and over and over again, defeat them by beating up their manpower, and eventually win the whole war in the long process. And there you go, there's a victory for you. Victory. This icon on the bottom right indicates there's a current war happening. The Ottomans versus Kandar and Dulkadir. And it shows the battles that have happened as well. Oh, and how much war score you've got as well. War score indicates how much you are moving towards sweet victory. Alright, in that case, this guy's retreating down to here, so I think we can go after them. So what happens is when an army does lose, it's called a broken retreat, and it means they will retreat now to a safe location to try and build up their morale again, to fight again. In this case, we have ability to go right after them and try and... they probably will try and retreat to the furthest way they can go. In that case, they'll retreat to the bottom. So in that case, we're going to pursue them and see if we can chase after them and kill them. In this case, we've got almost like twice as many infantry as them, so in this case, we probably are safe to beat them up. Chasing after them. Oh boy, here we go. Here we go. Can we make it? Oh, there we go. They've arrived in this state. And then we can engage them. And then we're engaging them one more time. As you can see, this time the morale's a lot lower. It takes about 2 or 3 months to restore your morale fully. Every month that goes by, you will get reinforcements for your army as well that comes from your manpower pool. In this case, we're attacking them, we're beating them up. In this case, the morale is about to hit 0. There is a minimum amount of time you can break away from a battle. In that case, that was referred to as a stack wipe. In that case, the whole army was dismantled completely. The morale it is based on an algorithm in the game that if you beat an enemy up and you beat them up to the stage where you had a massive advantage over them, either by technology or overall stats and lots of other little bits and pieces, the army will become completely dismantled. And in that case, the army was fragmented and destroyed, and that was a glorious victory for the Ottomans. Okay, so what we need to look into now is just 2 other mechanics. One, this army is a lot lower on manpower than it once was. So it contains of 10 regiments of infantry and 5 regiments of cavalry, and you can see the infantry have got really, really well and truly beaten up. So what's going to happen is every month, at the end of the month, you get reinforcements from your manpower pool that's added to your army itself, which will reinforce the overall number of troops in the armed forces. What we're going to do is siege down this area of, well, this country. What we'll do in the meantime, too, is we'll use our second army as well, move this over to take care of these little armies. What's happened here is he's recruited a new regiment. We'll call these regiments or brigades. I don't know what you want to call them. But it's 1,000 troops that Kendar's raised up, so they're reinforcing and whatnot. It's just causing a nuisance. Anyway, so what we're going to do now is wait a day. There we go. And now we're sieging down this area. What 100% means is end of the month, end of this period of sieging, when it goes to the very top, it's a chance that this area will be captured by you. In this case, it's 100%, because there's no forts here, there's no land here, it's just literally just a piece of land. In this case, here too, actually not that one. These 3 don't have normal land, but this one's different, because this is a capital region. Every capital region has a base 1 fort built within it. And you can see here, fort level 1, capital city. These don't have forts. Only basic defenses. Only basic defenses. Only basic defenses. By the way, this is the siege screen. I don't need to worry too much about the siege screen when you're looking at this. Well, we'll worry about the siege screen when we go here. Anyway, we're going to press S to split our armies. We're going to go here. S to split and go here. And we're going to siege down these 3 tiles, which will siege down pretty much within less than a month. I'm going to resume the game now. You can see this little progress bar going up here. It's like a little green bar. Let's make the game go a bit faster. And you see it's going up, it's going up, it's going up. And we've occupied this area. Done. Remove this guy here. See, he's recruited a new regiment of troops. We're going to engage them here. It says we're going to engage them, and that means they can't run away. And we'll engage them straight away. And we'll move these guys in too. So we're going to make sure we have a numbers advantage. and then they've been defeated. It wasn't a full retreat, it wasn't a full defeat though, because they are still running away. Anyway, besides that point, we moved our army here, and now we are sieging a capital region which has 1 fort. So every month that goes by, there is like some dice rolls that happen, and the siege of this area goes through like several processes or levels. So with a minus number or a 0, it means a 0% chance of the end of this siege period, this area will become under your control. So what happens is whenever a dice roll happens for a siege, it'll become closer and closer towards you being able to occupy that state. Anyway, we're just going to continue on. We've got another army here. We'll move them over. We'll recruit a new general as well. Remember, you can fight without a general if you want, but you are at a disadvantage. It'll cost you some military power, which is these points. Hire him, and he's got 3 fire and 1 siege, which, quite frankly, is a quite useless guy at this stage of the game. You want shock, that's your main stats, but it's better than not having a general, put it that way. So here we go, so you can see the progress bar's moving all the way to the top, and that means a siege tick is about to happen, and that will indicate that something's happened. In that case, it said status quo. Status quo means that nothing actually happened, so there's no there's no detriment to this army on this siege, so it's not, the siege has not progressed. Anyway, we're about to fight this army here again. He moved away in time, that's okay. We're gonna have to try and chase this army down, which is kind of a bit of a nuisance. You've got to kind of like wiggle around the countryside to get them. Oh, we're meeting up with one of them here. That's an instant wipe. So in that case, the game is calculated. There's no point even playing an actual battle scenario because the numbers are superior in one side's favor. So in that case, it's called a straight wipe. In that case, there's no battle that happens at all. Okay, so he was about to move here, but now he's changed his mind. So we're going to try and pursue him down and get him. See if we can get him. And we got him. And that's an instant wipe too. No casualties from your end, and you instantly destroyed that division. Division, template, brigade, 1,000 dudes. I don't know what you want to call them. I don't actually know. Let's have a look. What is it actually called when you hire someone in this game? We have 20 units of infantry, Yatta infantry, land units. It just says land units. So lets me know about the events in the game. Apparently it's been a succession by Poland, and they now have control of Lithuania, which is a historical event that happens in the game. We're about to engage this army now, and we're doing really, really well. Boom, and he's dead. And that's a stat wipe as well. It wasn't a straight wipe, though. Because as you can see, we still took some casualties as well. There was actual battle that actually happened. We're going to go 5 speed, and we're going to watch the siege happen now. Oh, there was another stat that was wiped. We'll press S to split, and we'll split them in 2. And see, every day, that month that goes on, you can see the siege is progressing. See, the minus number is working its way to 0. There you go. So now we're at 0 chance. Oh, this is an event that's fired. Glorious Ottomans will be. We have got a claim on a state called Duramazo. Is this one? Which in this case gives us a claim. We'll talk about claims later. Yeah, so now the siege is at 7%. So now, at the end of this siege period, there's a 7% chance that we will occupy this state. That means that the people in this fort will surrender. So we've occupied this one here. Was this their capital? No, this is a different one. Anyway, regardless, this icon here, I don't know what this is meant to be. Is it like arrows? I can't quite make it out. You know what? I'm not actually sure what the icon actually is. It's an exclamation mark, and then there's something to the left of it. Well, anyway, what's telling us here is there's not enough troops positioned outside of this fort here to start sieging down this territory. So we click on it. We can see there's a fort here. It's a capital region, and it also has a castle there as well. Castle adds a further +2, so this is quite a high level fort, and that's the reason why it needs quite a lot of troops positioned outside of it to siege it down. If you want to know how many troops you're actually going to need, you can click on the division itself. It's not for some reason it's not showing it in this case, but you can click on here, that'll do as well. Or you can click on this siege view here. And it says you need a total of 9 regiments. Oh, it's a regiment. Okay, there we go. We're learning more about the game as we go. 9 regiments. There you go. And 9 regiments indicates... 9 regiments indicates how many troops you can have here. There's an easy way of doing this. I press G, by the way. I select on the boat and I press G to merge, which is this one. Actually, where is... Oh, G's... Actually, recall... I'll split them again. Oh, it's that key. It's the G key, which is the merge key. There's a way of doing this that's really simple too. You can press this one called Detached Siege, and what it'll do is the game will calculate how many divisions need to be regiments need to be outside this fort to continue the siege. You press it. These are redundant, the one that's selected, then you can move these ones away. So now we've just got the right number of troops here to siege this down. That way you don't have to gain attrition by standing in enemy territory and losing troops. As you can see here, we're getting attrition at 1% per month, which means we're losing 1% of our total armed forces in this army per month. As you're probably aware of medieval warfare, and after the Renaissance, there was more casualties from attrition, like disease and whatnot, than actual casualties from battle in a lot of cases. Anyway, that's fine. So we're at 7% now. We're going to wait for the siege to continue. Disease outbreak, 7% again. 21%. So the chance of sieging this down is going up, up, and up, and up. Another 21%. Wow, another one. This is actually a really unlucky siege. 35%, so 35% chance now of completely sieging this down, and it has been sieged completely, and now we occupy that fort, and that capital belongs to us. See, this is a bit more tricky to siege down, this one, because it's a combination of a capital and a fort, and more than likely, oh, it's in grassland. Usually if it's in mountains, that gives it an extra defensive buff. There's also a way of sieging down a little bit quicker, and some of the leaders are quite skilled at sieging, and one of the pips there is 3 shock, 3 fire, 0 shock, 0 maneuver, and 1 siege. A siege probably gathers, it allows you to siege a little bit quicker. And as you can notice, when he moves over, the siege will go up 1 tick automatically. There you go. Because he's a siege expert, he knows how to siege, and well, he's not an expert, but he's better than the average pleb, put it that way. And there you go. We're going to siege down this tile here, and it'll take a while. You can, if you want to as well, run into the fort when there's been a breach. So over time, every time there's a siege that's happened, a siege tick, there's like a bit of text that fires up, like disease spread or whatnot, or something like that. Depending on the tick that happens, it depends how severe this percentage change. You see, there's water shortage, food shortage, defenders, deserts, or surrender. It shows the % chance of those ones happening. So the next one's going to be probably supply shortage more than likely. Well, there's a chance that like nothing might not even happen as well. One of the events is called, I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called Breach in the Siege, or Walls Fortified, or Walls Damaged, something like that. I think it's Walls Breached, actually. And then when you've done that, you can storm the castle itself by storming through the gap. That is not recommended, though, because you will lose a lot of troops. And a lot of time in the early game, you actually end up not being successful as well. Anyway, we've got another event that's fired here. Influenza spreads. And we've got the option to take a lot of damage to our economy, or try and contain it. It's up to you. In quarantine, take a bit of damage, or you can say it might go away. It's a bit of a risk, this one. It's up to you what you want to do. I think quarantine is the best thing to do, but you do initially take the biggest loss to begin with. Gonna go 5 speed again. There you go, walls have been breached. We're gonna, for the purpose of this, we're gonna grab all our infantry. But if you select the army, you select this icon inventory, just selects only infantry. In that case, you can move them here. We're gonna merge them together with G key, and then we are gonna storm the fort. Ordering an assault will be costed to lives and also cost us 5 monarch points. Only a maximum of 15,000 troops will make an effective assault each day. There we go, we're going to storm the fort. Now this is highly not recommended. Watch the casualties we take here, they're going to be catastrophic. As you can see, this is the morale of our armies, and that's the morale of the fort. As you can see, we are slowly and truly winning, and we've just won. But that was a cost of about almost 4,000 lives. That's really not worth it. In most cases, you better have to sit on the tile and let them surrender, and wait a few more months. That's usually the right thing to do. Anyway, we're going to end the war now. Click here, you can see the war leader with a star is Kandar, this one. You're better off piecing out the other members first before you piece out the war leader, because if you piece the war leader out first, well, it doesn't actually matter, it's up to you. It's just my preference anyway. I'm going to go for the ones that are part of the war first. Then this is the peace deal here. You can right click, sue for peace, and we have 100% war score, and these are the options we can do. One of the things we can do is select land and take it off them, and we can also take money off them as well. This icon is quite a good idea to look at as well, because it causes a coalition to occur to us. So if you take lots of land in a short period of time, you can upset a lot of your neighbours. It looks like you're being very aggressive and militaristic, and it upsets a lot of your neighbours. So in that case, I'm just letting you know that you could suffer from a coalition. I believe if you get over 50, you will get a coalition, but in this case, no one goes over 50. But then again, if we annex this as well, we might. So we're going to take some money from them as much as we can. And that'll cost 98 war score, and we'll go. And you can see, boom, we've taken that land, and that's the outcome of this war with this combatant. And it shows that this is the result of the war expansion. We can also annex this guy as well. And take all their money as well. There's some other options as well. You can annul treaties, end rivalries, and do other things as well, like take money from them. But you can only take money, war reparations, if the nation still exists. So you're like bleeding money from them. And this will cause a coalition to happen between these nations as well. So in this case, this is probably guaranteed to be a coalition. But who cares? We're going to do it anyway, because this is for the lols anyway. Then the demand, boom. We have now occupied that territory. It now belongs to the Ottomans. I'm not playing on very easy now. I'm playing on regular. This is normal difficulty. Well, I think so anyway. There's a few things to know. When you take land, it doesn't automatically become your ownership. It's not like integrated into your nation. It becomes uncored lands. Uncored lands cause aggressive expansion, which in the long run damage your nation as a whole. So you never really want to have aggressive overextension. It's one of these menus. There you go. So overextension here. We gain overextension by owning provinces that are not cores. Colonies are primary core to exempt from causing overextension. If you have 100% overextension, we're getting some nasty rebels regularly and offering more often the higher the percentage is. So in this case, it's saying that these areas are causing overextension, and the overextension is 41% causing all these bad things to happen. So you want to get rid of them. So in this case, you can manage this by coring lands. Coring lands costs administrative points. Every time you core, they take away the points, and it takes a while to core these lands. It will not core immediately. If you hover over there, it shows how long it takes to core the land, which is usually, in most cases, about a year, maybe a plus, depending on how developed the land is. Development is here. That shows you like how economically powerful this area is, and the higher development means how long it's going to take. Oof. There's a few other events popped up as well. When you have overextension, you suffer from corruption, which is an overall bad stat. In most cases, there's no reason you should ever have corruption. You can reduce corruption with this slider here, but it costs you money per month, which is this economy. It shows your income and outcome, which is your money is here. Whew. Wow, we're getting through so many things here, aren't we? One thing to note as well is you are -2 stability right now. We've currently got 26 points. You need administrative points to increase stability. And also being overextended does increase the cost for increasing stability. So it says you need administrative points to increase stability. It costs 136 plus stability. We go from -2 to -1. Alright, well that's pretty much it for this episode anyway. I think we've gone through war, we've gone through some basic mechanics of the game. Yeah, there you go. Alright, we're gonna end it here anyway. Apart from that, good. See you later.